You know what day it is? It's the day that you dread the absolute most. You wake up in the morning and realize you have to give your speech today. Well, what if I told you you don't have to worry about public speaking? And instead, you can focus on these 5 tips and tricks that I learned in the chapter I read to deliver an amazing speech every single time. Chapter 12 really focuses on giving tips and tricks and performing an amazing speech professionally. The outline of this chapter includes an overview of the different types of delivery methods, all the different vocal aspects, all of the nonverbals that mean the absolute most, and making sure you're comfortable in the location where you're speaking. Throughout the entire chapter, it gave very important information to be ready to speak in front of a crowd. It was very easy to follow, and I believe that it flowed really well with how the chapter was laid out. In between the writing quotes to sum up what the previous paragraph was about was quotes. With all of the speeches that I have done, these are tips and tricks that I live by every single time when preparing, practicing, and delivering my speech. Mr. Victor wrote this in a way that college students can wrap their head around the ideas of what it means to perform and conduct a speech. There are 4 basic methods of presenting your speech, which include manuscript, memorized, impromptu, and extemporaneous. Manuscript is when you have written the speech and are reading it word for word off to the audience. This used to be common with paper, but now we use it with reading off of a screen. This is used in like newscasters and for the president for sure, because they have to be precise every single time, and they get criticized very bad if they say a word wrong or get a name completely wrong. The memorized style is explained by when speaking to the audience, they do not have anything in front of them and they have memorized their speech word for word. This style is seen mostly in actors and actresses on stage because they can't have anything in front of them and they have to memorize it. They are also used in speech and debate teams in high school and college, and this is up to the person who's speaking, but usually they try to be competitive and memorize their speech. So as for everyone else, you probably won't use this very often unless if your speech was really short. As for an impromptu speech, this is made up right on the spot. You have no time to prepare for it. And these speeches normally do not include research or have a really well laid out outline. They're not meant to be given all the time, and especially not meant for people in speech classes. Last but not least is the extemporaneous style of speech, and this is where it's not written out fully, but you still have a bunch of notes on it to look down on when you're giving your speech. When you are new to delivering speeches, this is the best way to go because you write out exactly what you want as if it was an essay, and then you read it off, you edit it, and then you transfer everything to your note cards, and that's when you pick bits and pieces to get put on your note cards. This is the most often recommended type of delivery as well. Articulation, pronunciation, vocal quality, pitch, and projection each depend on long-term practice for success. Articulation is how well and correctly we form our vowels and consonants using our lips, jaws, tongue, and palate to form the sounds that are identified as speech. Vocal quality is exactly as it sounds. This can affect audibility and can affect the articulation. As for pitch and inflection, the pitch is how high or low your voice can go, and everyone's different. No one's the exact same on this. You talk exactly the way you would write a paper as well. So if there's a punctuation at the end, that's kind of where you take a breath and you kind of form that way. So as if you're writing an essay, but you're actually saying it out loud. The one thing that you always want to try and avoid is being monotone. No one likes someone with no expression and is just talking like this the whole time. And it doesn't really seem like they care a lot about anything. So supporting your voice volume with good breathing and energy can be practiced and help the speaker develop the correct volume. The speaker should be able to be heard from all the way in the back. Even though you are giving a speech, it is still important to think about all of the nonverbal actions. This includes personal appearance. You need to dress appropriately for the situation and figure out the culture and standards of the audience before you are given the speech. Overall, your movement and gestures are what complete your speech. The way you stand, your gestures, your facial expressions, they all make important aspects. The thing that people hate doing the most is looking up at their audience. And this is because it takes you out of the safe zone. But I promise you, your audience will be way more engaged with you if you're looking at them instead of just looking at a screen or down. A big part of speech is where are you going to deliver it? Are you going to have something in front of you? Are you going to be freestanding? Are you going to have a microphone? Are you going to present something and have a PowerPoint? You need to make sure all of this stuff works before you are given the speech, just to be confident in all of that stuff, and you never have to worry about it. And you can just focus on your speech. So now that you have figured out what kind of delivery that you want to use, when to use the right vocal and nonverbal aspects, and you have mastered your location, you are ready to start preparing, practicing, and delivering that thing. So when you're preparing notes, you want enough information on them without missing any important detail. And make sure you have them in an organized fashion. The biggest tips I can give to you guys is make sure that everything is numbered on the right hand side on the very top, and to never ever use two sides of the note cards. Only use one side, because if you're flipping through and you're losing your spot and you're going back and forth like this and you can't figure anything out, your audience is going to be paying more attention to what you're doing, like your nonverbals, instead of actually listening to you and what you have to say. So when rehearsing your speech, at least need to memorize the beginning and know how you're going to set up the tone of your presentation. This way you can breathe, realize you're going to be okay, and it shows the audience that you're very passionate about what you're about to say. Before delivering your speech, you need to be confident that you selected the right topics, did your research on it, you practiced it and got enough constructive criticism back, and you've created your note cards correctly. You feel confident where you are presenting and you think you're ready to deliver that dang speech. I hope that this helps you out so much and you wake up in the morning of your speech and you're actually excited to give it instead of being terrified.